Right, here is the review. We're going to start over here on the this side with the white low fire clay. And so remember that very first state when you're creating your projects, that is the raw state of clay. So if I grab this little clay baby, I can pinch it, I could roll it, I could slab it out, make a pancake, all those things. So this state of clay would be known as raw. Okay, then with your mugs from last week, they are kind of getting into, well, I've used Vincent's mug here as a kind of a segue piece. I found this broken shard because I don't have any great examples because we are kind of done for the trimester. But you can see the difference in the color here between the two pieces of clay. So I'll get that a little closer for you. Maybe not so, but it's definitely darker. And so this here would be the state of clay known as leather hard. So this for the white low fire clay. If I were to be looking at projects and deciding how I needed to get things fired, or if I was still working on a project, if it looked like this gray and it's very cold, like it feels really cold to the touch, like an ice cube almost, I would not want to make any changes to that. It would just break, and then I'll be really frustrated and whatnot. So if I were still needing to fix something and it was this leather hard state, I'd have to spray it down, wait a day or so maybe, and then it would be just fine. Okay. So Vincent's mug is the different color. So it's a lighter gray. It's matching. Here's Arthur's mug. They're kind of matching for the same color, the same lightness in the gray. But if I were to do that temperature check, Arthur's mug has been sitting out a lot longer and it's nearly done drying out. Vincent's mug, because it's much larger and thicker and it was wrapped up longer, is still cold. If it's cold, there's still moisture in there. I can't load these in the kiln yet. So no, they're not fired yet, but that is what I'm working on this week, getting them fired and glazed for you like I promised. But just because the color is the right color to be that next stage past leather hard, which is called bone dry, this is not ready yet because that coolness is telling me it's wet still. Okay, so set that back up there. All your mugs down here are at a leather dry state. In leather, what am I saying? That's wrong. Bone dry. Sorry, bone dry. Okay, bone dry is completely dried out. It's room temperature now. It's not cold to touch. It's the temperature of the air right now. That is considered bone dry. It's still gray, right? Yeah, still gray, totally gray. But this is why we call it the white clay. It doesn't look white when we're working with it. It's gray, duh, right? But this is the bisque fire state. So if you have a project that is that white color, it's been fired one time. It's bisque fired. And that's a new word for probably everybody. But I mean, it's new to this class, or not new to this class, but beyond this class. But the bisque firing, remember, it's just taking out all those properties of the water. If this were to sit in a bucket of water for years, it would not ever do anything. Our mugs would, if I put them in a bucket of water, in 10 minutes, they would just be mush again. So this is a bisque dry example of a dead beet. Isn't that funny? And then, of course, we have the fired version, the glaze fired state of my example for the Sgraffito project. So you can see that the clay was the white. I put that black glaze on like we all did. And, it's nice and shiny. Some of you have discovered that some of the glazes aren't shiny. One of my jobs this week is going to be to get rid of all the non-shiny glazes because I hate them. So we've got raw over here. We've got this little tiny chunk that is leather hard. Can't make changes in leather hard. This is bone dry. It better be where you need it because it's going to be so hard to fix anything. This is the bisque fire piece, no changes can happen. And this is the glazed fire piece. Okay, so the 5 states there. Now we're going to go over what that looks like in the high fire clay as well. So in the high fire, I didn't grab any of the raw clay. We know what that is. You use it for the coil project, the tile. It's the real stuff that we use and get ready. So here I've got Carly's project and a scrap that I found, and you can see the color difference. So it's definitely this the leather hard clay here is a different color. It's darker, same as it was with the gray, because that water is still there. This again is like an ice cube. It's super, super cold. If I needed to make changes, I'd have to spray it down and wait, but it could still be done. Okay, so put that leather hard piece up there. So Carly's, her coil pot here is completely dry. It's bone dry. Remember, bone dry, it's the temperature of the room, the ambient temperature in the room. It's not wet anymore, and it's ready to go into the bisque fire. So that's the 3rd state. Okay, so again, let's look at that color difference between the unfired pieces and their states, same as we had the unfired stuff over here, and then how the color changed. Okay, so here is a bisque fired piece of high fire clay. So this was a mug I made last year, and this is why I call it the pink clay, the pink or brown clay, right? For obvious reasons. It's brown, then it kind of is pink. If you have a better description of this color, you can tell me and I can change it if I agree with you, or if it's better than pink, but I don't know what else to call it. So here is a bisque fired mug. Again, it could sit in water forever and it will still be this mug. Okay. Here is an example of the glazed fired state in the high fire. So I put this couple combinations of glaze on. You can kind of see this line. So I did try to layer these two, and it didn't really work. It kind of worked on the inside. It kind of has that darker, I don't know, brown something in there. But overall, it's still really nice. This is really smooth and lovely. This is also why you should take ceramics too, because pottery wheel begins, and it's really fun. This is super fun to hold and to feel because it's smooth and everything. But again, here's the color of that clay. Once it gets fired after the glaze is on it, it kind of goes back to that brown feeling again. So if you take a look at those two colors, you know, you have the one here, which is the bisque fired. This is after it's been glazed fired. It goes back to that brown. Because it's fired again, it probably just does a little bit more to the clay or whatever it does, but it's different, but still the same clay body. Okay. So I'm going to have a quiz for you on these 5 states of clay. We've got raw, leather hard, checking my list, bone dry, bisque fired, and glaze fired. That's the final 5 options. Okay, so make sure that you remember those 5 stages and apply them to the picture that I have in the quiz for you. And that is what we're doing on Monday this week.